Okay guys, today I'm gonna put a snorkel on the 6x6. Now I'm not gonna put a complete snorkel on this thing, meaning I'm not gonna do the clutch exhaust, and I'm not gonna do all the vent lines because I don't plan to take this thing in water. The whole reason I want the snorkel is to get the intake, the clutch intake and the intake of the motor out of the under the hood here, because on these older Rangers, 2002 to I believe 2008, they got these big boxes right here. There's a pre-filter in there. These ones have rotted out already, and they get the air from right where my heater is sitting there. You see there's holes. They run tubing up there, and that's where they get the air, like I said, for the clutch and the intake for the motor. There is the exhaust for the clutch. There's the intake. There was a hose that come up and went down and connected to the plastic deal right there, that square tubing. It turns square and as you go into the floorboards, and then again it turns into the hose once you get up to the floorboard there, or past the floorboard. So I am going to snorkel these two things, plus it's going to free up quite a bit of room actually next to the motor here. I am going to run the snorkels up each side of the roll bar. So it's going to come from down around here, up around the box, and it's going to go up to there. I'm going to have one on each side. Pretty much the best way I can see to do it. I can't get it between my box and the deal here. I'm going to run a panel here, so that pretty much takes all the room that was back there. So I got the air box off. Air box is normally around here, sits right here, goes into the intake of the carburetor right there, and it has a bunch of little hoses on it. I don't know how many years it's gonna have, but this one had like 2, and they were pretty much welded on. You know, over the time, the heat cycles pretty much glue these rubber hoses on. Here is one rubber hose is on this one. There's another rubber hose on this one. Kind of started my adapting process. I got a 1.5 to 2 inch adapter here, and it actually slid on the intake. So I'm good there. Now I can go straight to the ABS pipe that I'm going to use. 2-inch ABS pipe, which will make that simple, fairly simple. I've got 2 sticks of the 10-foot ABS. I've heard this is the better stuff to use for this. It holds up better. This is Schedule 40. I guess you're supposed to use that too. So I was going to use some conduit. It seemed like it was heavier. This seemed lighter, so I went with the lighter stuff. I'll see how it works. I think everybody uses this ABS when they do this. Got a whole bunch of adapters here. All kinds of 45s and 90s, and got some glue here, and I've got some multi-purpose cement, and I'm going to show you why later on why I've got this multi-purpose stuff. I'm going to be gluing some non-ABS stuff on this system. So I guess I'm going to take the rest of this out. I'm going to take these out, get my hoses out. I've already took my exhaust, but this is going back in. The intake hose is right there. I'm actually going to reuse this, part of this, to actually make my system right here. So I'm gonna remove the rest of this stuff, and then I'll show you what I come up with for some of this stuff. Okay, so we've got all the old stuff out. We've got, this is the intake for the motor, the intake for the clutch. You can see how small that intake for the motor is. I'm surprised they shrunk it down that much. But everything's out, all the stuff. These are the boxes I was showing you in there. There's supposed to be a pre-filter in there. The mice pretty much ate this out. There's mice crap inside them tubes. So they were in the intake one, I believe. This, you can see, is much cleaner under here. Still a lot going on, but a lot less without the intakes there. The plastic tubes are out of here. Again, gives me a lot more room. I do have plans for more stuff for this, so the more room I got, the better. Again, more room up here. I will have the exhaust pipe is going to be right in here. So this isn't going to be completely clear, but again, a lot more room than there was. So now that everything's out, which I think is the hard job, my hands are all cut up. Everything in here is tight and there's sharp things everywhere. I've had to switch to using gloves because my hands are just so cut up right now. But that's it. That's the exhaust right there. And I'm going to have to fix that because someone jammed it in there and bent it up. It hooks to right there. I may do that. I may run that up behind the bed here at some point. But that's for another day. Just trying to get these two main ones done so I can run the Ranger again. So I guess my first thing is I'm going to do the clutch intake. I'm going to reuse this part of this hose, and instead of running it towards the motor here, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to run it over the clutch here, and it's going to come out, if my light would stay, it's going to come out right about here. Then I'll think I run my ABS out. Then we'll do a 90 up around the bed. I think that'll be the quickest, easiest, simplest way to do it. I am going to have to run an adapter because the holes don't quite fit in there. So I've got a 2 1/4 inch steel pipe. I'm going to slip on that, and then another piece of rubber because it just won't quite reach. Okay, to get from that clutch intake, I'm going to use this piece of hose that was actually from the original system. I've got a 2 3/4 inch exhaust pipe, 2 inch. I'm going to put these together like this. I'm going to add on the original piece onto that, and it's going to say, like I said, it's going to get me out to here. You can see it's a tight fit in there, so there's going to be a lot of squeezing to actually get that over that. Okay, as you can see what I got there. It looks to me like there's a design flaw in this clutch intake because this hose doesn't even fit on without actually hitting the back of that clutch cover. So I mean, it's a super tight fit. The holes really don't fit on there, but you gotta just push it on there. This is gonna go to my original hosing. I'm gonna hook that up next. Okay, so I got my factory hose on that adapter I kind of made, and it goes down and around to there. I used my little adapter I made, like a 15-degree angle out of exhaust pipe there, and then it's running right here. I'll probably make a bracket right here to hold this up there like that or something, and then I'm going to run it straight out here. I got to drop the bed down, figure out where it's going straight up, This is the 1.5 to 2 inch adapter. Slid on the 2-inch exhaust pipe there. Kind of had to force it a little bit, but it's a nice tight fit. This will go from ABS, will go here up. So I'm going to drop the bed, get my measurements, rig it up, and then I'll show you. Okay, so I got the clutch intake completed, and I've made quite a few changes to what I was doing. You can see I got the pipe coming out there. You can see it's a fairly tight fit to the body. I welded some angle iron on here, about a 10-inch piece, and then welded it to the roll bar here. I'll probably clamp this on with a couple of worm clamps or something. For the top, this is, I found this in the electrical section. This is conduit. It's a I don't know what they call it. It's a box where they can get at it or something. I forgot the name of it. Somehow they're supposed to be able to, a service box is what they call this for some reason. I will have to paint it. It's gray. I couldn't find a black one, but that's what I got there. And then in here, you can see I kind of changed it up. Instead of running the ABS straight through, I kind of rotated this hose. I rotated this hose. It was over here, and I rotated it over here using my 15-degree adapter I made out of 2-inch exhaust tubing. Kind of made it go straight again, and then over here I made another 20-degree adapter with 2-inch exhaust pipe. Kind of trying to keep this away from the tire and underneath, underneath and away from the tire as much as possible. This is as good as I can do right here. Right there is as good as it's gonna get. I mean, it's possible I could come out over here, and then could have maybe done some angles. But then I'd have to put more of these in. I really don't like the looks of this in the first place, but this is what you make the snorkels out of usually. So that's what I got there. So pretty much done with this side. This side's actually gluing the pipe together and finishing some clamps. I will have to paint this angle iron on here, but I'm probably gonna run it for a little bit, a few days. Make sure everything's gonna work out. So that's what I got for the first side. Now I gotta come over here, do the same thing for the filter box, the intake of the filter box. And I was gonna go right to the ABS here, but I'm probably not going to do that now. Probably going to use a bunch of this hose that I have from the factory system. I'm going to use these probably to, just like this, work my way all the way out to about here, and then run my ABS. So that's what I got going on. I'm going to start working on the other side. See if I can get this finished up tonight. Okay, so dealing with the intake. Found out my boot is all cracked up. My intake boot. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's cracked up pretty bad. I'm going to need a new one of those. I had to kind of move it over a little bit to kind of twist it, and I also had to move this over. You can see the original holes were right here. I had to move it over. Still should be a good distance away from the exhaust. I can still get the cap off. It wouldn't, with that hose there, it wouldn't go back in place. So this is what I had to do. So I'm working with this here. That's another old hose that come off the original system. I'm going to make a steel adapter right here to get me straight. I'm going to run across the front of the fuel tank here, and I'm going to come over here, out here, just like I did on the other side. Show you one of those adapters that I'm making. I've made quite a few now. Here's one. I need a 36-degree angle, so I just cut two 18-degree angles. This is just 2-inch exhaust pipe. I run out of the exhaust pipe, so I had to use a piece of this heavier stuff. This should be my last adapter. So I'm going to weld these together, and then I'll have a 36-degree steel adapter here. Okay, so we're gonna let this thing cool. I didn't do no fancy weld on it. I just run it down, run a good bead on it so it's sealed up. Should be plenty good for this little intake adapter. Okay, so I'm making this bracket same as the other side. Just a piece of angle iron with some 1.5 inch flat stock. You can see I got it marked right there and there. That's where this is going to go on. Something like that. Gonna weld it on there. I'll have to make sure it's perfect. Straight, gives me the good spacing here. Gives me good spacing there. If I can just weld it on square, I will be awesome. Got to grind the paint off where my marks are so I can get a good weld on there. I removed my rear window so I didn't get no spatter on it. So I'm gonna get this welded in and then we'll move on back to that because it'll probably be cool by then. Okay, so I got everything completed on this side. You can see how we went. And it went down, dipped down, and behind the gas tank. A couple adapters I had to make. The exhaust is right here. I think I got a good enough gap between that and this hose here. Same as the factory had, because the factory had the same hose coming out. So I think I'm good there. Made some adapters here, another adapter there, and then the 1.5 to 2 inch adapter there, and then up to my deal there. So that's how I got this side run. Got everything completed now. So all that's left to do is actually glue them together. I gotta mark where they go. Glue my elbows and my top there. I think they're pretty even. Then now I gotta go in the cab and I got to fix. I gotta fix this. This is the exhaust tube. Someone's distorted it. It's not the easiest thing to get back in there. Should be easier without the other stuff in the way. And then also they wrecked the clamp. So I need a new clamp. I don't have one. I'll probably just zip tie it for now and go get a clamp. So I guess I'll fix this, start gluing up my pieces there. Okay, so I'm ready to glue these up now. I've got my intakes and everything where I want it. So I made a mark on both pipes, so I know where to glue them. I'm not a plumber here, not an expert on this pipe, but I got this multi-purpose cement here because of basically that top piece isn't ABS, and this is what the people at the store said to use. So this is what I'm going to use to glue this all up. It's 15 minutes to handle this stuff. It says 2-hour dry time. So I'm going to pull these apart and start gluing. Okay, I guess I'll give you a quick demonstration on how to glue this pipe up. Okay, how I'm gluing it up. Okay, basically you're supposed to clean both pieces. You're going to take your cement and you're going to apply it to your part here. You're going to apply it to the other part, and you're going to put them together, and you're going to turn while you put them together, and you're going to want to hold it. They say for 30 seconds to keep from pushing out. I'm not really worried about push out right here because it's just a snorkel, so I'm going to continue on doing the same thing to all my joints, making sure I get my marks lined up where I want them. Okay, I'm getting ready to mount the top of my snorkel on, and you can see this piece is actually two pieces, and this top cover snaps onto this lower piece. This actually gets glued onto the deal there, the pipe. So what I did is I took my Dremel and I kind of opened this up a little more. They had knockouts for running wire, I guess, or something. So I knocked some of them out and then I opened this up a little bit. I think what I'm going to end up doing is getting one of the pre-filters that normally went in the factory box here. I think I'm going to get one of them, or I'm going to order one of those. I'm going to cut them in half and I'm going to stick them inside here. So it's kind of got a little bit of a filter so leaves and debris and stuff don't fall down in the pipe there. So this one's ready. I'm going to glue this on, snap my cover on, and move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm waiting for my pipes to dry. The glue is set up so I can put them back in. I fixed my boot, or my exhaust pipe. Just heated it up, made it round again. So I'm going to install this, and like I said, the guy wrecked a clamp, so I'm probably just going to use a zip tie, heavy duty zip tie for now. Get me a new clamp when I go to town, and then hopefully by that time these will be ready to stick back on. Okay, I got everything buttoned back up. All the wires in the frame are tied back up because I had to move some of them a little bit. Everything's glued together, clamped on, clamps are all tight. Got my back window back in. Let's go for a test drive. So there it is. Finished product. Took it for a drive. Seems to be doing okay. I don't see any or hear any vibration or anything shaking. Everything sounds good. If anything, it's a little quieter with that intake outside and not under the hood. So I think they're gonna work out good. Probably do a couple more days of using them before I paint them. I also got to paint my brackets that I welded onto my angle iron. Okay, some people are gonna say you're supposed to bring a snorkel up here or whatever, and you can't really do that and use your bed at the same time. So you know, some people would say, well, you know, run them way up so then you can use your bed. Well, then my glass can't come out. I really like the idea of being able to take my glass out when I want, and if I got snorkels right in front of this thing, you know, I can probably get it out, but it's gonna be a pain, and then when it's a pain to do it, I'll probably never do it. So this is what I come up with. I might, after I build my doors, probably gonna move this and come out around here, and then I'll go up at an angle probably, and then up here. But I don't want to cause any problems with the door that I might make. So that's kind of why I did that. Once I get my doors and I know where everything's gonna be, I may go with this. I may even get a set of the newer style side plates and put them on there, see how that is. So that's the install, guys. Not sure what else to tell you about them, but they seem to be working good. So there they are with a little black paint on them. I think they're going to work out nice. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.